Welcome to Inside Admission at Wilmington College. I'm your host, Danny Harp, Associate Director of Admission. As you know, in March, all of our lives were turned upside down when we, as a global society, were dealt the hand of the coronavirus. College campuses scrambled to figure out ways to bring our students back to campus this fall while giving them the opportunity to experience all that a college should be academically and extracurricularly. Wilmington College took this task seriously. Throughout the summer, we tirelessly pondered ways to keep our students, faculty, and staff safe with their return to campus. Today we talked to two students, getting their thoughts on the safety protocols we have in place and the impact it has made on their return to campus. Brian, if you could introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Brian Miller from Covington, Ohio, and I'm a senior here at Wilmington College.
And Ipsy.
Hello, my name is Ypsilan Castillo. I am a senior here at Wilmington, and I come from Costa Rica.
Thank you. Well, thank you both for being with us today. We have just a few questions we'd like to ask to kind of get your thoughts on your return, concerns, how you feel this particular academic year is going with the mask and the different protocols that are in place. And Brian, I'm going to start with you. Given the thoughts of coming back to college and anticipating a return to campus, what types of concerns did you have? Perhaps what kind of concerns did your family have?
Yeah, so really the big one was just coming back to campus. I thought we were going to be here for a week or two and get sent home after Labor Day weekend. So I'm glad that we've been able to stay here the whole semester.
Okay, very good. And Ipsy, I know your situation very unique, coming to us from Costa Rica. What were the discussions that you had, that your parents had in regard to your return to campus?
Well, it was definitely a scary thought because, first off, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to leave the country to begin with. Borders were closed. They weren't opening them for the states, but eventually I was able to get here, and then it was whether or not, like, if the school shut down midway through, if I was going to be able to return home because the borders were still closed.
Okay, all right. And now that you are here, and we've got through fall break, any regrets about returning to college?
No, I'm so happy I decided to come back.
Okay,
Yeah,
very
sure.
good. Excellent. And Brian, from your observation, the safety protocols that Wilmington College has put into place, do you sense and do you feel, do you observe that the students are indeed adhering to the protocols we have in place?
Yeah, it's like me and all my buddies, like we all recognize that if we want to be here on campus and have in-person classes, that we have to adhere to the rules or we'll get sent home again. Last spring when we all got sent home, a lot of students were frustrated with that experience. So I think all the students are recognizing that if they want to be here on campus and be in person in their education, that they have to follow these rules. And I don't see many students going against these rules or having to give professors fits with these rules and are just following what they're being told to do.
Okay, great. You know, with the protocols that are in place, it's had to have changed your experience, both educationally, perhaps socially. Ipsy, can you address a little bit from the social angle? How has things changed, or have they changed?
Well, I mean, of course, they've changed a little bit. You know, like you can only have like 9 people per apartment. So when you want to like organize like a social event, usually we have to like think about who we want to invite. But other than that, like we still have events. It's also meant that we spend more time outside because you can have more people outside. So it's definitely been good in that way. And we spent a lot of time like playing volleyball with my friends or like basketball. Like you just use the like outdoors facilities more, which is very productive and good. Yeah.
Very good. And Ipsy, I know you're very active on campus, involved in a lot of clubs, lots of organizations. How has the face of those types of things changed given the social distancing and the mandatory wearing of masks?
Well, we still have events. We just hold them on like Zoom, and I mean, we still do things and just like remotely and just like through Zoom. But I still feel like we are getting that experience, that college experience. You know, you still get to meet people, and yeah.
Okay, very good, excellent. Brian, I would like for you to address for our viewing audience the educational aspect and the protocols as applied to sitting in a classroom, maybe your experience in taking a class through Zoom. How has it changed that education experience for you?
Yeah, so as I hit on earlier, we we have a lot of students here that want to be in the classroom, and they're following these rules. So I fortunately have not had any Zoom classes, and a lot of my buddies haven't had any Zoom classes. I've talked to some professors, and they tell me that we're 80% still in person, and I think that's really says something about the way our professors are handling it and the way our students are handling it. Of those other that are still online, I think it's a lot of our older faculty that might be more susceptible to the virus.
Okay.
So I think that's a lot of the reason why they're in Zoom. A lot of our professors are kind of taking a alternate route. I've seen some classes that are outside using the windows as whiteboards and just kind of doing an alternative way of learning to still be able to have those in-person classes, just because I know the professors recognize that that's what our students want, and they're really following that and making it possible for our students to be in person.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Now, both of you serve the Wilmington College campus. I know both of you give campus tours. You talk with prospective students. What would your message be? I'm going to ask both of you this. What would your message be to a student that is contemplating going to college next fall? And let's say all of this is still in place. What would your message be to that prospective student considering coming to Wilmington or another college campus next fall? Ipsy?
I'd probably say to not be afraid. You'll still get that experience. You'll still be able to have that, like, have your friends, make friends, and you're not stuck in your room all day. That's what I was afraid about this semester, but not at all. Freshmen are still having that experience. You still get to interact with one another. So to not be afraid and just keep on going with life, you know?
Very good. Thank you. Brian?
Yeah, I mean, like Ipsy said, you can't go through life being in fear. You're going to miss out on a lot of things if you do, and I think kids coming into college need to recognize this. Your professors want you to be on campus. Your faculty want you to be on campus, so they're going to do everything they can to make that experience happen. And I think here at Wilmington College we offer that and recognize that. So definitely don't be afraid of going to college.
Okay, very good. Now, I know that each of you have had interactions with visiting students, families. What have their reactions been towards the protocols that we have in place, mandatory mask inside, social distancing, all around campus? Have you been able to pick up their reactions to what we're doing here at Wilmington College?
Yeah, in all honesty, I think a lot of the families that I've dealt with have been very impressed with the statistic that we're still 80% in person. I think they visited a lot of other institutions that aren't like that. They're still living on campus but might have online classes, and I think this is turning a lot of families away from sending their kids off to college just because it is such a financial commitment. And I think when they hear that kids at Wilmington are still in person, they see the value in that and understand that the faculty here are doing everything they can to make kids still have a college experience.
And keeping them safe.
Yes, most definitely.
Absolutely.
And they see kids walking around on campus wearing masks and see people that are socially distant. I love showing the families the classrooms, and when they see students socially distant in the classrooms and see professors wearing masks as they're teaching, I think they see that we're doing everything in our power to have in-class or in-person classes, and they really appreciate that and are really impressed with, I think, the way the faculty here are handling it.
Okay. Ipsy, let's go down the road 35, 40, 45 years, okay? Let's say that you've got grandchildren and you're telling them about your days at Wilmington College during the pandemic of 2020. What would you share with your family?
I would share just the great, I would definitely tell them about how scared I was about returning to campus and all that. But I would also share that you get used to your masks. And at this point, I'm just so used to wearing mine that, I don't even think about it. I mean, sometimes I forget to take it to class, so I'm halfway through and I have to run back to get it and then go show up late to class. But, it's just, something that we've gotten used to, and it's just part of our life that, I don't think it had such a big effect as I thought it would.
Okay.
So I think that's what I would share with my grandchildren.
Okay, all right. Well, Brian, Ipsy, thank you so much for sharing with us. I really appreciate your input on this particular topic. And thank you for joining us for another episode of Inside Admission at Wilmington College. On behalf of my entire Wilmington College family, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.